some years ago, our older boy at the moment, we felt that he was a little bit conflict avoidant, let's say. He was getting sort of pushed around by his classmates. So we put him into Aikido, just, one of these Aikido for kids. And he stuck around with that for a couple of years, and we had to go with him once a week. And they had this little thing that really stuck around, and I still kind of use it as a reference model. So they had this activity, and it was kind of fun, just looking at like a bunch of 6 and 7 year olds. So all of them lined up in one end of the dojo, and one of them goes right up front, turns around, facing the whole crowd, and then the first kid in the queue like shouts and screams even at the one kid who's now facing the horde. It sounds possibly a little bit cooler in Swedish, I don't know, but basically the translation is "who decides?" They just scream it at the person. Who decides? And the solo kid facing the horde screams back, "I decide." And then the first kid in the queue runs at them, like to push them or something. And then they have 3 responses that they have already practiced. So they decide which one they're going to use. So they might throw them if they know how to. If they keep a clear head, they might sort of lock them, or they might just, as soon as the other person catches a hold, just start backing. And obviously, like if you're holding on to someone who's just backing and backing, who is really leading? It's the person that is backing, that is controlling the direction, right? But what do I need in order to decide a response? I need options. So it's not a bad mental model that you always need to have at least kind of 2 or 3 different options to choose from. And depending on your mood, depending on how you read the situation, you go for one of them. I think this is one of the best tips that I've gotten to be a change agent. There was a talk by Henrik Knieberg. And so he just goes through something like 15 or 16 sort of patterns that have been successful for him. And I always remember this one. Your job is not to sell the solutions to problems. Your job is to sell the problems. To get people to realize and acknowledge and embrace and accept that they do actually have a problem. It's like AA, right? Until you admit that you have it's the prerequisite for anything to happen. And as soon as you make contact with the fact that you have a problem, our brain starts to, well, what if I did this or what if I did that? I mean, we start generating options. Just make a few of them concrete. Just play it through. Play that loop forward. What if I were to do something like this? How would that play out? And that way, when something happens, when you're confronted with something, you're that kid. Who decides? I decide. What am I going to do about this? Well, which of these options seems to me like is a good fit right now? We react when we don't have a better response. We react like when there's an absence of, when we haven't thought about it, when something catches us off guard. And you have to be willing to make contact with the fact that there is a problem, there might be a sticky situation. What might be some options? That gives you the response capability, I think.